Menopause and alcohol. What's the deal? What's the connection? How do menopause and alcohol affect each other? You probably know that menopause is a process that women go through naturally, and the average age is around 51. Some women may require surgery or treatment, which puts them into menopause at an earlier age. But I think it's fair to say that whenever you reach menopause, it's quite likely that your life is fairly busy. Trying to pay the bills, get your kids to the right place at the right time, look after aging parents, turn up and perform every day at work and cope with the inevitable changes that menopause brings with it. A glass or two of celebration at the end of the week or the day seems like the right level of self-care, doesn't it? Until you wake up with a thumping head or dripping wet and steaming hot. Welcome to the menopause and alcohol sweats. So first of all, let me tell you, in case you think otherwise, I like a drink or two. My favorite drink is champagne, closely followed by a gin and tonic. An expensive bottle of red wine is wasted on me. Give me a cheap and cheerful Merlot any day over a bottle of Chateau Parma. But as a menopause coach, I have a duty to arm you with the knowledge to help you make decisions about the way you eat and drink and move in order to stay as healthy as you can through this phase of your life and beyond. And despite the media telling us that red wine is healthy, all those antioxidants, I think we all know that excessive amounts of alcohol are not great for anyone's health. But does that change specifically in perimenopause or menopause? If you're listening to this and just starting to notice that you've got symptoms of perimenopause, then you're in the best position to make some changes now before it gets a really hard habit to break. So why is alcohol likely to become more of an issue in perimenopause? The combination of older children who may not need quite so much of your time as a mum taxi, a busy but successful job which allows you a bit more freedom to perhaps spend money on social events, aging parents and other commitments which add a different level of stress to our life may mean that there are more opportunities for you to enjoy alcohol either outside or inside the house than you're used to. Think about it. Has wine o'clock become the norm in your house? Bottomless brunches with endless Prosecco that's topped up, quite appealing. And does Saturday night start at 5 o'clock and finish when you've run out of booze? It's really easy to see how alcohol can sneak into our week more frequently than is healthy. And it's a really tough habit to break. So here are 3 reasons why alcohol affects women in perimenopause and menopause. Reason 1, we are literally smaller and drier than we used to be. I'm sure you all know somebody who is able to drink twice as much as you without displaying any outward signs. The smaller we are, the less able we are to tolerate alcohol. But there's more. You know how you notice probably that your skin's drier, your hair's drier? When we go into perimenopause and menopause, our body composition changes and we're literally drier, which means that a single glass of wine will have more of an effect on us than it would have done when we were younger and less dry. We also have less of an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase, or ADH. And this enzyme contributes to removing alcohol from our bloodstream. Less of it means that the alcohol hangs around for longer. And the second reason is that our irritating menopause symptoms may actually get worse. It sounds a bit melodramatic, but alcohol is, to all extents and purposes, a poison. Yeah. A nice one in moderation, but for our poor body, which is trying to get rid of having less estrogen and progesterone than it used to, chucking in another stress in the form of a daily dose of poison for your poor liver to deal with, and it's likely to object by increasing some specific menopause symptoms, often at night. So nighttime hot sweats, inadequate deep sleep, and you easily wake up in the night. You've got an increased heart rate risk if you've had a drink the night before, and an increased chance of waking up with a headache. And if not, you're going to wake up feeling anxious, groggy, angry, sad, all of these. And then there's another thing, that alcohol can affect some people's bladder, leading to the fact that they need to wake up in the night and pee more frequently. It can be part of something called bladder pain syndrome, which is a cystitis-like issue for women. But the third reason is that alcohol affects our behavior and the choices we make. So, are you a happy drunk or a grouchy one? A couple of alcoholic drinks often make us relaxed and happy, and we say yes to things that we ought to have thought about a bit more carefully. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's signed up to do something during a fun evening out and lived to regret it the next morning. My first 10K many years ago happened just like that. And I know other people who have agreed to things like bungee jumpings, long distance bike rides, and even marriage. Alcohol removes our inhibitions and can result in some less than healthy choices. In fact, it makes us hungry, so we eat more. And often we crave the high fat or high sugar foods, which we would normally avoid. It affects our sleep, which makes us hungry, so we eat more. And the lack of sleep affects a hormone which helps us recognize when we're full up, so we eat more. And it increases the likelihood of a low self-esteem, which means we stop prioritizing our health. And often that means we eat more. So can you still enjoy alcohol during the menopause? Of course you can, if you wish to. After all that doom and gloom, I'm going to share some tips which I use and might help you work out what feels right for you. I would suggest by starting to keep a diary of the amount of alcohol that you drink for a month. And you're doing it not necessarily to note the amount that you drink, but when you drink, the amount, and the reason you're drinking. You might see a pattern emerge and be able to put a stop to it. Look at the size of your wine glass. Some wine glasses are almost half a pint. Consider downsizing. A simple one, but for every alcoholic drink you have, double it with water, stale or sparkling. This will help to offset the amount of alcohol by increasing your hydration temporarily, and it'll also slow you down. Avoid having high-fat foods before or with alcohol. Your liver has a lot to do with alcohol, and if it's got to process alcohol, fat, and sugar at the same time, it's going to struggle, and that's going to have an effect on your menopause symptoms. So instead, choose protein-rich foods to go with that alcohol. And that will also help to lower an insulin spike that goes with sugary foods and alcohol, and may actually help you sleep better. And in the diary that I mentioned at the beginning, why not note down the symptoms that you notice when you've drunk certain types of things? You might notice a difference in wine versus spirits, or organic wine versus non-organic wine. So to put that all together, menopause is a massive transition for our body. Internally, it's coping with the stress of all the hormone fluctuations and eventual decline. And in order to feel as fit and happy as possible, looking after our long-term health must be a priority. HRT may be an option. It reduces many menopause symptoms, but it's not a sticking plaster which allows us to continue to live like we did in our 20s and 30s. Taking back control of our eating, our drinking, our sleep, and our rest are all essential to go alongside other prescribed treatments. If you'd like some help with doing all of this, get in touch, send me a message. Have a look at the stuff that I offer on my website. I'd love to be part of your taking back control.